Lanes coming up in just a few moments. The battle for the Earl Anthony Players Championship between PBA Player of the Year Sean Rash and Scott Norton. Before that, let's recap our last match of the day between the LAX and the Dallas Strikers. The four teams headed to Indianapolis for league championship play in 2 weeks was already decided before this one. Still, the LAX decided to show the crowd what they were capable of. Every team member throwing at least one strike at Dallas during the match, and while the Strikers started out strong after changing to the left lane, they couldn't keep up with Los Angeles, only managing one strike in the final 5 frames to lose 257-214. Still, the Strikers received 8 points for the second place finish today, enough to get them into the PBA League Championship in 2 weeks. And here are the final point standings after 5 rounds of preliminary play. The New York City WTT Kingpins will be the #1 seed at the PBA League Championship, followed by the Motown Muscle, the Brooklyn Styles, and the Dallas Strikers. And you can see all the action from Indianapolis in 2 weeks. Find out who will be the inaugural Elias Cup champion on Sunday, April 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. We finished the winter swing here with the championship match of a tournament meant to honor the memory of Earl Anthony from pin setter at an early age. He went on to become the greatest PBA player ever.
Earl's 43 career titles rank second all time, and his 10 majors stand alone. He held the titles record for 30 years until Walter Ray broke the record.
In the clip you just saw, Earl's widow Susie Anthony cheering him on, and much to our delight, she joins us here today for the tournament that honors her late husband. The Earl Anthony Trophy, the last to be given out here in Detroit at this season's winter swing, and it will go to either reigning PBA Player of the Year Sean Rash or perhaps Scott Norton, a man certainly in the running in this season's Player of the Year race.
You know, Earl didn't win his first title until after age 30. A late bloomer? Yeah, I think so.
Norton opening the match with a big strike, and that's something he threw a lot of during his first title win against none other than Sean Rash. The first 8 frames, all strikes for Norton, who crushed Rash 256-181. And this season, Norton captured Chameleon once again, this time against Jason Belmonte. Norton struck out in the 10th, forcing Belmonte to strike on his first ball in the final frame. Belmo would leave the 10, handing Scott Norton his second career title. Final score 227-223. Reigning PBA Player of the Year Sean Rash on the approach now. 30 years old with 6 PBA titles. 2 of those being majors, including last season's Tournament of Champions. And a strike for the Player of the Year.
Nice start for both players. You take a look at Sean Rash's arsenal, throwing the Mean Streak Brawler, named after my co-host, Lon McCarran.
You know it. You know it.
Okay, that's not true. You're a really nice guy, as far as you know.
All right. Sean Rash has been one of the dominating bowlers on tour. Scott Norton really coming into his own. So this is really a great matchup here. Not so much luck for Rash on that lane.
I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring match. Sean Rash drifts a little bit high, leaving a 4-pin, and we're seeing 2 of probably the most dominant players throughout this winter series.
Rash converts. Not happy about missing out on the double. Now Norton from Mission Viejo, California, known as the Counselor, because he's got a law degree and a law practice.
There's the double from Norton.
Greg Woodward, Scott's spouse here. Sitting next to Jerome Bettis' mom. Woodward and Norton celebrated their 1-year anniversary just a few months ago. Success breeds success, as we're finding in Scott Norton.
Wow. Vicious ringing 7. Trying to get out to a real fast early lead and jump all over Sean Rash. See that 4-pin just snap right around that 7.
Norton now with his first conversion attempt. He's good. Up by 9 as Rash comes to bowl his third. Qualified second, almost 238 average, 7-2 in match play. Down by 9. Oh, wow.
Time to move, Sean.
There's Sarah Rash, Sean's wife.
After warm-ups, this pair's broken down on the right side of the lane. Sean's drifting high the last 2 shots. He's going to have to start moving in and opening up this oil pattern. 40 feet, Earl Anthony oil pattern.
As we mentioned, Sean Rash, last season's Tournament of Champions winner, and he's going to get the chance to defend that title next week at Woodland Bowl in Indianapolis. Join us for the PBA's signature event, the Tournament of Champions, next Sunday, live at 2:30 Eastern here on ESPN. Rash has taken a re-rack here, trying to stay loose. And Randy, you mentioned the oil pattern. How much does it break down just during the warm-ups?
A lot. You know, every time a bowling ball goes down the lane, that bowling ball is absorbing oil. Player can be locked in during practice, and then all of a sudden, the lights come on, ball reaction's gone. Player has to make an adjustment. More so on the right side of the lane than the left. A lot more friction on the right side than the left because there's a lot more wear. More right-handed bowlers than left-handed bowlers.
So Rash sits down after rolling his second strike of the match here in the 4th. And here's Scott Norton's arsenal.
And isn't it apropos that he's throwing the oath? Because I'm guessing he probably had to take one when he became an attorney. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Oh, he got it. It was worth waiting for.
Well, the 4-pin was kind of leaning on it, and then another pin came over and rolled into the 7 and took care of business.
So Norton matches Rash in the 4th with a strike.
Oh!
This time not so lucky.
Boy, and just a cruel sport, isn't it? I mean, you get a great break, you come back and you fire a pretty good shot, and he leaves a stone 10. But that's the sport of bowling.
Yeah, it was
The frustrating part about it, what I'm learning, when you throw the shot you want, you throw a good ball, it hits the right spot, and the result's not there. It's mentally challenging.
A wise man once said that scores in bowling are not indicative of how well you actually throw the bowling ball.
Good break, bad break for Norton as he takes his seat.
Sean Rash can tie it up with a strike right here in the 5th.
Rash looking to double.
Lay there.
Oh, wow.
4-9 straight.
Got it up the lane again, no angle. Ball breaks loose and goes through the face, leaving the 4-9. And the pin carry thus far halfway through this title match, not very good for either player.
Sean Rash going for broke. Came up broke there.
Right now, Sean Rash trailing by 24 due to the open frame. He hasn't missed the pocket yet and has not doubled.
Gone from bad to worse for the reigning player of the year. And inside Thunderbolt lanes, you can hear a pin drop, just not enough of them for Sean Rash's liking.
Last shot on this lane, he went light. This shot goes right through the nose. That ball looked like it just checked early and kept going left.
Another open for Rash. Finds himself down 35 to Scott Norton, coming up for his 6th. Yeah, it doesn't make either member of that household happy. And now Norton, and there's talk with another win this season. Norton in the equation for Player of the Year discussions.
What a way to free up your arm swing, have your opponent go back-to-back open frames.
Nice, easy, relaxed motion of Scott Norton, and a little kick. That helps. Good answer to the breaks that he got from Rash.
A couple more strikes, and Norton's going to send this one to the jury.
Verdict will be an easy one, I think, at that point. Sean Rash, and just wait and see if Norton is good enough to finish him here. 7-pin.
Hey, good shot. Come on. Good shot.
Well, Rash still has some room. He can strike out for 214. But that would mean that Sean Rash would somehow have to be able to find the pocket for about 5 shots in a row.
Of course, Rash, the Player of the Year right now after last year's results. Norton has won the PBA Rookie of the Year in the past. This is his 3rd PBA season, and looking good right here after his 7th.
Rash down 35 here, trying to collect himself and get back in this match.
That's a start.
Let's see if he can hit the left lane and give something for Scott Norton to think about. Moves in, gives the ball some room to the right. Ball recovers, and it's a nice strike there in the 7th. He's got to do the same thing here on the left lane. He's going to move in and open the lane up. He needs to adjust his ball speed just a little bit.
Wheel. Not over yet!
I was going to say it's not over yet, but Sean took care of that for me.
Sean knows full well he's got to fire himself up. So Rash, 2 opens, answers with the double.
Good shot here. Good shot here. Come on.
Well, Scott Norton just trying to maintain composure here. He's up to it.
One more. Come on.
Well, that's a nice answer to the Sean Rash double.
He's not the kind of guy who would come back screaming, "It's over." You don't want to do that.
He might if he strikes in this frame here.
Nice and easy.
But Norton might just be happy with avoiding disaster. Last time we saw him was last month here in Detroit, where he left the big four not once, but twice in the 9th and 10th frames, and it cost him the match and gave Michael Haugen Jr. the Mark Roth Classic title. So, here is Norton in the 9th frame of the Earl Anthony Players Championship. Can he finish off Rash here?
Whoa, look out.
That shot, not the result Norton wanted, but not the big four either.
Okay, now it's definitely not over yet. Rash has to strike out, but Scott Norton's letting him hang around, and that's something that can become very dangerous.
Spare it up.
And the 2-4-7's not the easiest spare to shoot at.
He got it. Spare in the 9th. Norton with the 25-pin advantage as Sean Rash gets ready for his 9th.
Goes to the rosin bag, is going to take plenty of time. Has to strike here and then a double in the 10th frame to give himself a chance here. Remember, max score for Sean Rash 214. Scott Norton is at 209. His max score 219. Whoops. Seen this one before. Back to the rosin bag. Oh, we're going to brush the shoe first. Back to the rosin bag. Exercise the demons. Go to the towel. Wipe off the oil. Go to the shoe. Just basically go through the entire routine again.
None of that was needed except for what's happening between the ears of Sean Rash.
Got to have it.
And he got it.
Well, again, no matter what, Sean Rash cannot shut out Scott Norton. But he can sure make things a lot more interesting. Norton has struck on every ball on the right lane. 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 8th frame. He's been perfect on that right lane.
Sean Rash trying to put more heat on Scott Norton here in this Earl Anthony Classic title match. A championship honoring the greatest PBA player ever. And that is not lost on either one of these PBA stars. Once again, Rash with the balk.
Calm the tempo down.
Replay of the 9th frame. Couple of shot clock violations for Sean Rash. And the longer Scott Norton has to sit and wait.
He's about to bring that up. Does that help maybe freeze Norton a little bit?
Without question. Flamed it. He threw it so hard.
Damn it.
Maybe he wanted it too badly.
Come on, Sean.
Bad shot. He just overthrew it. A little less speed. That ball recovers, but this one's just thrown too hard. Look at him come up and out of that shot, and the ball has no chance of recovering down the lane.
Just cut through that rack like a knife. A big blow to Rash's chances. Good ball from Sean Rash to close out his tournament here.
Scott Norton needs 7 on this first ball, and he's a winner.
And there it is, the upraised arms. Norton has done it again. Scott Norton is the 2013 Earl Anthony Classic champion, scoring another win over Sean Rash. A very appreciative crowd, and he will soon grasp that Earl Anthony trophy. A big finish for Norton. Susie Anthony, Earl's widow, here to witness it. Greg Woodward also here. And this will close it out. As Norton strikes out in the 10th. 219-191. Congratulations, Scott Norton. And yes, he has thrust himself into the discussion of who is this season's Player of the Year. We'll be back to wrap up this show, this PBA winter swing from Thunder Bowl lanes in just a moment. It was a very difficult path to travel with the long week of qualifying, but Scott Norton cut through the field of 135 bowlers to stand alone and earn that Earl Anthony Classic trophy. Well done, Scott Norton. Time for the Geico Championship recap. Randy.
Well, Lon, this is a really tight match up until the 5th frame when Sean Rash gets up and he pocket 4 nines and he follows that up with another split. Scott Norton, well, the stage was set. He needed 7. He gets 10. Scott Norton, a winner once again on the PBA Tour. And with me, the man of the hour, Scott Norton. Describe what it means to win a tournament named after Earl Anthony.
Well, he's the best of all time. So it's amazing to even have made this show, considering only 2 people got to make it. But my mom actually bowled in this arena with Earl Anthony in the Ladies and Legends in '74. There's a YouTube clip on it if you look for it. And she knew Earl very well. They did clinics together. And it was really hard for our family when he passed as well. So to win this tournament in his name just means so much.
Your name's got to be at the top of the list at this point of the season for Player of the Year honors. What does that mean to you?
I won't say I never. It was hard to think that I would be in this position at any point, but I've worked really hard, and I've put in a lot of good mental preparation for this. So I'm just going to keep bowling as well as I can the rest of the season and see what happens.
Scott, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done, Scott Norton. Our next broadcast next Sunday, the PBA Tournament of Champions on ESPN at 2:30 Eastern Time.
What a day of bowling to close out the winter swing here at Thunder Bowl Lanes. 4 teams now set for the PBA League Championship in Indianapolis in 2 weeks. And we have a front runner in this season's Player of the Year race, Scott Norton, who wins his 2nd title of this season here at the Earl Anthony Players Championship. For JT Action Jackson and Randy Peterson, I'm Lon McCarran. See you next week for the PBA Tournament of Champions.